Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and today we are back with another Which is the Better investment video. These are two massive juggernauts, and I don't even mean about their design, but let's talk first things first. Let's give you a TLDR. If you are looking at these two characters and you're wondering, yeah, I only can pick one, which one do I choose, EOD? Tell me which one is better. The TLDR and short answer is you can't make a mistake between both of them. The real question is, do you have enough resource and do you want to make a decision now of pulling Robin? Or do you want to perhaps save your resources and are very patient? You can wait for eventual Ruanmei rerun whenever that may be. That's, I think, the bigger question that you want to ask yourself. But in this video, I want to promise you throughout the entirety of this video, I'll be as objective as I can, comparing these two characters in multiple factors. And if you care about my own personal opinion, I'll leave that all the way at the end for any of you who are interested as well. But first things first, whenever we look at investment value of two characters, we need to always consider first the value it brings to you right now, because there's no point in pulling characters that add nothing to your account right now. You might as well just save that resource, pull them on another day if they don't benefit you exactly right now in your account as well. So first things first, current value. Now these two super similar characters, super great characters, can fit into most teams as well. You can't make a mistake, but I think where each of them shines versus each other, and this is always a relative thing against each other because they are really so good characters. You can't really make a mistake going for either one. You'll be happy with either one. If both, you're a happy man, you're a lucky man. Good on you. So first things first, Robin I think outperforms very significantly in follow-up team compositions. Any character that likes to attack out of their turn or wants to be pushed up, move faster, you like a damage across the team even from Robin, these kind of team compositions generally will see her shine a lot more. If you like good music in your background as well, I guess there's also a favor to Robin. Whereas Ruanmei, on the other hand, I would say that on average, if you plot a graph of how she performs on every single team, Ruanmei fits into any single team on average way better than any other character, harmony character in the entire game, and she excels in a couple, which is teams that focus mainly on weakness break efficiency. Ruanmei plays there. If you have a little bit more money, a bit more investment, they both scale up very nicely into damage dealers as well. But of course, Ruanmei is slightly more versatile, excels in more comps. So if Robin was like the jack of all trades master at 1, Ruanmei is like jack of all trades master at a few, and even like a grandmaster at 1, perhaps you could say. So in my opinion, current value, Ruanmei probably offers a lot more value compared to Robin in the sense of where they both fail. But in my opinion, doesn't mean one ages out the other is lousy. They are very, very high ahead across a lot of other characters in the game. Very good value for both of them, and that is my analysis of current value. But current value alone, talking about how they fare in the space, is not sufficient enough. We also want to talk about alternatives, because if there's already people that do what they do, you don't really need to urgently get these characters. You can just make do with cheaper alternatives or other forms of same type buffing as well. Now, first things first, the character that competes with both of them, let's start off with an exciting one, is actually Esther. One of the things that a lot of people didn't realize is Esther gives a team-wide push with her ultimate ability. You put dance, it's like a much better pushing across your whole team. That is very similar to a character like Robin, who pushes a lot. At the same time, if you think about Ruanmei's kit, she is also wanting to buff in an AoE fashion as many characters as she can to do a lot more damage, like a double hyper carry kind of role. Esther is also competing together with Ruanmei in that space, where she buffs a lot of attack percentage in DOT teams specifically. So if you're looking for DOT teams, Ruanmei is slightly ahead in my opinion, because Robin gives a lot of crit damage, which is wasted stats in a DOT team, because DOT characters do not crit at all. Esther plays into that field of buffing DOT characters, probably one of the best in slot for DOT teams if you do not have Ruanmei. So that is the alternatives for a bit of commentary on Esther. But let's talk about Robin in terms of a crit damage buffing capabilities for your follow-up team compositions as well. There are many crit damage buffers in the game already right now. You have Sparkle, you have Bronya. These two are some options, and if you're running Imaginary and stuff, Yukong also buffs a huge, massive amounts of crit in a team-wide fashion if you have her at higher Eidolons. Hoyoverse, why are you forgetting this character? She hasn't been back for 13, 14 banners. That is crazy, you know. That's how strong she is at E6, and they know that, so they want to drag it out as long as we can. So they can sell us all the harmony characters before we get around to E6 Yukong. But yeah, those are some characters that are really strong crit damage buffers also, and are alternatives if you can't afford Robin in the com. Basically any com that you have Robin in, you can slot in Ruanmei, you'll be fine. That's why they are like alternatives to each other, but I don't want to just like keep giving them side to side. I want to like talk about some other options because the people watching this video might not have Ruanmei also, and want to know like the alternatives to really Robin compared against like Ruanmei. It was just a simple fix if like everything, the answer was Ruanmei. So that is for both her ultimate buffing as well as the crit damage buffing element. In terms of follow-up specific buffing, I think the only competition really is like Topaz and Nambi. This is the only character that is able to buff follow-up attackers as much as Robin, and the teams definitely would like both of them. Ideally, in a perfect world, you want to have both of them on your same team, but it's not a perfect world. We don't have unlimited budget, unlimited spend, so we have to choose one of them eventually. And if you are interested to know the comparison and which I think is more urgent and important for follow-up teams, check out the video we have on the channel already. I did the exact same format comparing these two characters. Amazing follow-up attack buffers as well. So the next thing, moving on to like Ruanmei, and this comes the point of Ruanmei's alternatives. Weakness break efficiency, there are some characters that help themselves, like for example Xue it helps herself and stuff like that, but there's no weakness break efficiency enhancer for the entire team currently in the game, so she's like more or less in a class of her own. Like Gallagher also, I think with some Eidolons he also gets enhancements on weakness break efficiency and stuff, but no one really buffs the team the way that Ruanmei does. And if you want to start playing to break effect team compositions, Ruanmei is still going to be very strong, class of her own, no competition in that field. If you start to take a step back and you are looking at team-wide buffers, of course you have Robin herself, you have characters like Esther, you have characters like Hanya who places that pseudo debuff on the enemy. So you have quite a lot of options in terms of team-wide buffers, which what Ruanmei does very well. If you're talking about DOT team buffers, you have characters like Esther again, you have Huo Huo who also acts as an attack buffer for DOT teams. So quite a few comparisons or alternatives for Ruanmei if you are specifically looking at like DOT and stuff. But the beauty about Ruanmei is like she's all in one, making it a very convenient package to just put all over the place. It's like a Swiss Army knife, right? You get one Swiss Army knife, you go anywhere, you can cut your sushi, you can cut your burgers, whatever not. Very easy, and one knife fits all. I think Ruanmei is a pretty solid one, and I will probably call this category alternatives. The winner is definitely going to be Ruanmei. She has less alternatives just because there's no one that gives a complete package like her in the same fashion. So talking about current value is interesting. We know the current game state, both of them are strong, both of them excel in different forms as we talked about, but the more important part then will actually look at future value, which I think is probably the main aspect where most people considering these two characters will think about. What is future value and what is this section all about? I want to talk about power creeping, how well they fare with time based on logical decisions and trends that we see as well. One plays into a follow-up team composition trend of growing follow-up ability. If you buy into the whole idea of IPC follow-up coming into the meta of Topaz, Nambi, Jade, Aventurine, etc, Diamond, whatever not, then Robin likely plays into all of these fields very well. The more characters do damage across the board benefits Robin, and it's in Hoyover's interest also to sell more characters that do damage over time. I think follow-up is going to definitely be more meta, and that is something very attractive about Robin as well. She plays into a very nice trend. Ruanmei, on the other hand, is playing well into current trends as we talked about, but also plays very nicely into future trends, and unlike like follow-up, she plays more into the break effect meta. If you believe that break effect is starting going to become like even more relevant, like breaking enemies, doing damage when enemies are broken are super relevant, and maybe Hoyover's is planning to go that way, I think Ruanmei plays into all of that thematics very well. And she's probably going to be one of your strongest pick. But again, both of them play into each other's team somewhat, because follow-up damage dealers benefit from a lot of Ruanmei's buff who are based on her turn cycles, not their turn cycles. So that is something that you want to take note of. That's why follow-up attackers also like Ruanmei in most of the comps. At the same time, DOT teams, break effect teams might struggle a little bit more with the other way around compared to like follow-up teams swapping in Ruanmei, but still Robin does offer a lot of value as well, since she does good amounts of damage, she does good amounts of speed pushing, which most teams would actually really like as well. A bit of damage, a bit of speed, very helpful for them too. So in terms of future value, they both play into very unique trends. I think that the character that is slightly harder to power creep, in my opinion, is Robin, because you can't really power creep a team-wide action advance unless you action advance them twice, or you action advance with the ability to action advance themselves. But I want to point out something that Hoyoverse is very careful about. If you realize, in the past, Sparkle was actually supposed to be 100% push advance. They nerfed it, they made her 50% for a very good reason. And also, the first time they released a new 100% push character is Robin, who is very unique because you cannot push her up after she uses her ult with a character like Bronya. Why is this a very, very smart thing? Is because you don't want an infinite cycle where Sparkle pushes DPS, Bronya pushes Sparkle, Sparkle pushes DPS, and you just keep looping down the cycle like that, and you eventually, like for example, if you have unlimited energy of Sparkle and Bronya, you can just push each other up 100%, give energy to each other, and then basically have a free out all the time as long as you can maintain your skill pointing. That's one of the biggest issues why they might not be releasing a future character that has 100% push and can be pushed as well. So I think the chance of power creeping Robin is much lesser. Her kit in a sense is a bit trickier, it's more or less maxed out already, a bit trickier to power creep. Whereas for Ruanmei, you could easily introduce a character with better weakness break efficiency, better, maybe when the enemy is broken, they do even more damage when in the broken state or something like that. That is another way you can compete against Ruanmei. Although Ruanmei plays into a lot of features right now, I think potentially power creep, I'll give it to Robin to stand out slightly. Ruanmei, I do see it as a numbers game ultimately. If whoever has better numbers will win, whereas Robin is more of a mechanics issue, limitations of mechanics now. So, and that brings me to the point on potential, which unlike the future value, we talk about trends and stuff that is going to happen. This section on potential, I want to ask you one question is, how much do you think competition is going to be coming in Honkai Star Rail? If you are believed that there is going to be some sort of PvP or maybe competition mechanic in Honkai Star Rail, Robin is likely going to fare a lot better because of team-wide action advance allows you a lot more control in the game. Not just talking about PvP, but ability to like maybe who can kill the boss at the lowest cycles, who can kill it at the fastest time, and etc. Team-wide push gives more opportunity for your whole team to do a lot more because you can cycle that into the turns. Whenever you feed turns to your teammates, you're basically pushing the speed barrier across, whereas Ruanmei's damage buffing ability is still based on turn order at the end of the day. You only can move a certain number of turns as well. So I think that Robin could be quite interesting, especially if we start to have more competitive Honkai Star Rail. How potentially that might come about, it really depends on your speculation. So far, the chances seem quite low unless they do plan to do something different. Who knows? They gave a limited 5-star for free. Maybe they could do something else that is new as well. But at the end of the day, both of them, in my opinion, don't see much lore kind of push from Hoyoverse, from the angle of Hoyoverse buyers. We're pretty much done with Panacani, and but whereas I think like Panacani, who else is coming out? Sunday, maybe that's the one that's left, and maybe a few characters in future. So in terms of the lore push, I don't think Robin's going to get much more famous. Maybe you could argue that the Genius Society works together very, very brilliantly and they all do a lot more damage. But so far, we only had 2 Genius Society members, Herta as well as Ruanmei. There's not much synergies unlike the IPC team so far. So they could bank on that in future. Maybe they release Screwlum, some other IPC character or Genius Society members that work super well together. That could be a trend, but of course it's a bit more distant and I don't wish to elaborate on that. In terms of potential, I think I'll give them a bit of a draw. This is a bit far-fetched in order to call a winner right now in terms of this potential category, but we highlighted important things to take note of. Free-to-play kit. I think free-to-play kit is important to consider these 2 characters as well. For my personal opinion, it's a lot easier to build a character like Robin than a character like Ruanmei. Ruanmei has very stringent requirements of hitting certain thresholds in order to see her fully utilized. Robin is much more easier to fully utilize because as long as you fit her in the right teams, you get her energy restoration up. As long as you build her with a bit of more attack percentage, she starts to do a bit more damage. Ruanmei, on the other hand, requires you to have good amounts of break effect, good amounts of nice relic combinations to hit that 140 energy restoration point, which is very, very tough for a lot of newer players who don't have the gear. We don't have a 5-star Harmony Light Cone and the 3 stars are not fantastic. You do have mashing cogs and stuff, but it's still not the best for either of them because it's a 3-star stat line as well, which will make them very, very squishy. Overall, I think Robin is slightly easier to build for the requirements on the gear that can be offset with having the right roster and team compositions, which we talked about on Robin's category already. So I'll give it to Robin, slight ahead in the free-to-play category, but both of them scale very well with investment as well if you have like multiple Eidolons and their signature. I would say scaling better into endgame probably is Ruanmei if you have maximum investment, but if you have maximum investment, this probably wouldn't be the category for you. And at this point, I think right now I want to introduce my own personal bias, my own thoughts. The question really is, the logical thought is Ruanmei is a clear winner in this bracket. I think Ruanmei will likely fare a lot better, but the main issue with my recommendation of saying like Ruanmei is definitely better is some of us might not have Ruanmei and are looking for a harmony support. Hoyoverse is known to actually delay very good characters for 1 year and above. I think Ruanmei might be an example of them delaying her for like super long. They know she's very good as well, and a character in Genshin Impact like Kazuha took very long to have his first rerun as well. I think it could be the same case with a character like Ruanmei. In that case, my recommendation is second best or even best in certain categories is not a loss. You don't lose because you don't get Ruanmei. In fact, pulling a Robin right now, I think is a very safe decision-making process. Even if Ruanmei comes back in 2.3 for example, which the odds are very slim. If you haven't seen our prediction video, I actually gave you my logical thoughts of and we also have a bit of track record on predictions of why I don't think Ruanmei is coming back so soon in 2.3. Check that video out if you're interested in our full predictions analysis. I think you'll find the things we talk about there quite interesting. But yeah, if you guys appreciate such content and my honest opinions, we do this every single patch. Like and subscribe for more of such future content. I'll also be doing one on Boot Hill in a little bit if you're interested. And thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next video.